following the link if they're on an iPhone running Safari as the browser.
Yeah, there's an app too that may require it to be downloaded, kind of the way Zoom or WebEx or any of those do. They sometimes require you to
yeah,
download. We'll give it a couple more minutes, maybe 5 after we can get started.
Many more people favored virtual than face-to-face, at least when I post.
We're so used to it now. It's been over a year of virtual meetings that it just forced me to get in and come up to the 21st century.
So I think I see about 10 folks on. So this is Ted Farrington. I just want to say we're going to start at 5 after, as I see some folks struggling to get in with their browsers. So we'll start in just a few minutes. But we'll start in about 4 more minutes. Yeah, I used to use, I mean, since the aught years, WebEx and those things. And then in my job I had, last couple of jobs I had, I ended up playing a lot of videos. And I don't know what the situation now, but GoToMeeting was the only one where the host could play a video on their computer and it got buffered and played out correctly for everybody else. So, but this is the first time on Microsoft Teams, so. So are you both in San Antonio? Where are you today?
I'm in San Antonio. That's where we're home based. I spent all week in Dallas last week, and I may be back there next week, but this week I'm in Antonio trying to get some work done.
Mm-hmm. I'm in Corpus Christi, but I normally am not in San Antonio. I'm in Dallas.
Check if I'm getting any more messages here about problems. Don't think so.
Ted, what's your cell phone? I think I wrote it down incorrectly before. Ted, before I forget, would you mind giving me your cell phone number?
My voice must not be coming through.
I can hear you.
267. Excuse me. 267-261-3567.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, we might as well get started, I guess. Let's see, I'm just checking. Yeah, okay. I'll just get a few kickoff comments. So good evening, everyone, and welcome for coming to tonight's meeting. This is Ted Farrington. I'm the HOA board representative for Tucker Hill. I think on the very first had the job. Jeremy Williams will be speaking in a couple moments. Reached out to us. He's with Embrey Management Systems, who are in the very early stages of planning the development just east of Tucker Hill on 380. Reached out to us and offered to have some informational meetings and discussions with Tucker Hill folks about the plans that, again, are very early. And I think everyone, the way this meeting starts in Microsoft Teams, I believe everyone is muted. There aren't that many, so I think if someone has a question, I don't see the raise your hand thing, so I think it and just say I have a question. I think it's about a 20-minute presentation. I know the biggest topic, and Jeremy and I both know, will be access and traffic. Maybe we do the talk and then have an open discussion of the traffic and entrance exit topic at the end. Make the question for clarification and information. Like I said, just unmute yourself if you have a question along the way. We are recording the session. There are a few folks who couldn't make it and asked if we would record it for them. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jeremy Williams from Embrey Management Systems. Jeremy?
Thank you, Ted. I really appreciate that. I couldn't have done it without you. You really helped facilitate. I really enjoy the in-person. I wish we could do that, but thanks everybody for allowing me to host virtually as well. We'll try to knock through this. In fact, maybe we just cut to the chase and just talk about the ingress and egress, right? And just get right to the point. But I really want to spend just a couple of minutes and walk through what we intend to do on this, the adjoining site, and our vision for that. So I have a little presentation I can run through. I'm going to share my screen. Please, at the top, you can unmute yourself, or across the top, there should be, depending on what device you're on, an ability to raise your hand, but just unmute yourself and ask the question if for some reason you can't see it clearly, or I need to zoom in, or I can obviously circle back around to slides if we need to, discuss the site plan more, if you want to see something in more detail. So with that, I will share my screen. So unless I hear somebody speak up, I'm going to assume that we can all see that pretty clearly.
It looks good.
All right, thanks, Ted. So we're Embrey. We are a 47-year-old company. Walter Embrey started and founded our company in 1974 in San Antonio. That's our home base, and he's been here that entire time, raised a family, and his son now is the president of Embrey. Walter is very much involved and engaged. In fact, we met with him today on some architectural floor plans that we were going through. And so they have a very invested interest in everything that we do. And so what we like to do is we home base in San Antonio, but we do spread out around the country. We have 12 different markets, Denver and Phoenix. You can see Texas, we're in the major markets there, Nashville, and on the East Coast, and in Florida. So we travel from time to time. And so my background is that I'm an architect. That's my training and upbringing. And that's the way my brain thinks, is I view things that way from an architectural bent. But I was doing development in Texas, lived in Grapevine for 18 years, and Embrey gave me a call and came down here about 2.5 years ago. Raising a family now. I've got 3 kiddos, and we love San Antonio, but I'm in Dallas quite often, looking for real estate. And so very fortunate and blessed, feel like we came across this site here at Tucker Hill. And so this is our leadership team. Just quickly show you kind of who we are, and again, Walter and Trey as the leadership for us. So our development team, we have people that spread out across the country and go and find. We exclusively do multifamily and the single family rentals, which I'm going to be sharing with you today. We control the whole development process. So from site acquisition to construction to property management. So Embrey does all of that, and we're able to really keep that close and do it at a very high level and communicate well internally and with our clients. So it's seamless, and you pick up the phone and call me. You know, we can get management on the phone. We can get the construction company on the phone. It's that simple. So we really like to be in-house, and that's how we do everything we do, and do it efficiently and effectively around the country. So I'll walk you through enough about Embrey. I'll kind of walk you through what our vision is for the tract. And for those of you who've been around for more than 6 years, this concept will feel familiar to you. So our vision for this, the single family rental concept, we start with the architectural character and intent of the buildings. We want it to be spread out, low density, and allow everyone to have a home, a yard, their own space. You don't have neighbors above you and beside you, below you with the noise. Also with COVID and the pandemic, it's really put a high point on having your own space. Walking down corridors that are a couple hundred feet long, and you've got multiple doors to pass. And while some people love the interaction, you also come with that, the opportunity to be in that proximity. And so the neighborhood feel and the outdoor lifestyle that this type of living provides is really sought after today. And so quickly, here's the site. The green highlighted boxes are the 2 tracks along 380. You'll notice that there is a sliver of land to the north, and then Tucker Hill starts to the north of that. So there's a buffer of a few hundred feet between our site and really where the first homes are, maybe 400 feet to the Tucker Hill subdivision. So just want to point that out. This is about 18 acres of the single family rental style. Detention is going to be required. I'll have a site plan that shows you that. And that's really based upon the topography and the requirements of the city of McKinney. So here's the site plan. This is our programmatic schematic site plan, really, to start the conversation. We really like this layout, but I'll explain to you what we're looking at here. So this is 226 units of single family detached homes, and it's roughly 12 units to the acre. And the blue boxes that you see is the required detention that I spoke of before. But we have a primary entrance coming off 380. It's where everyone would come in and out, park. You've got a clubhouse. There's an amenity space. We've got about a great lawn area of a couple thousand feet for people to utilize that, plus a pool and a fitness center as well. It's going to be a gated community, so there'll be entry gates to be able to get into and out of the community. So visitor parking, and what you see, there's 2 different style of homes here. We've got the brown boxes are our single family rental product, which are duplexes. And so they're attached, but the way we design this is that you have doors on the kind of front and the back. And so they don't face each other. You feel like you've got your own home. And I'll show you a few images of that to explain how that lives. The gray are townhome product. Those are also attached. And so those would be garaged. So we have quite a bit of garage parking on this side. About 50% of these units would have garages. And I'll speak to kind of the average square footage. I know that's come up. So we're starting square footage anywhere from 750 square feet up to about 1,500 square feet, depending upon the townhome product's a little bit larger. And the price point, I'd say the median price point is somewhere $2,300 to $2,400 a month, depending upon the size. You know, you might start out around $1,800, $1,900, and you may be at $2,600, $2,700 for the largest townhomes that we have. And so ultra premium, very high price point, and top of the market type of rents that we see going in here. We're very excited about this kind of product type. So main entrance off of 380, and then we're showing a secondary access point off of Grassmere Lane, which has been the majority of our conversation points regarding ingress and egress. And so I'd like to circle back around to the site plan. I'll work my way through for the next couple of minutes, and we'll come back to this, take questions, but stop me if you guys have any questions. I want to quickly walk you through a brief understanding of a lot of the different products that are out there today, and we'll just kind of highlight one option here. This is a competitor's design of what single family for rent looks like. This is also about 12 units an acre, a little less than that, but the green space is really confined to a few areas in the corners. And so the resident they have more of a cluster design where you enter on sidewalks and you go to your door, and that people love this. They absolutely love living here. But we approached it a little bit differently, and we said, how can we reimagine and re-envision what this looks like and feels like? So 955 square foot average. We're about 960, maybe a little bit larger than that with the townhome component. And we have about a 4,000 square foot amenity center with fitness, like I said before. So we have a certain program, the way that we're going to do it, and we've spent a little better than a year picking apart a dozen different people that are doing this around the country, flown to those markets, toured those markets, and casted a vision of how we wanted our product to live and feel. So on the left, this is a little compare and contrast. On the left is a product that was previously approved for this site, and a PD currently is in place for the tract there on the corner of 380 and Grassmere. So this was approved back in 2016, and so this was a single family for rent type product, and this was their vision of what the perimeter fencing would look like and how the homes marry up to the property line. And our vision is that we can kind of turn these units outward. Front doors face in most instances the property line, and so not only is it really nice for the resident walking down there, it's also really nice as you drive by that you're looking at through the fence, you're seeing the front door, and you're seeing the front door of the house. So this is on the left-hand side again, that cluster design approach where there's 4 to 6 units that are accessed off of this sidewalk. And our vision of how do we restructure the design so that we get the same number of units per acre, but we have a lot more green space that's usable at the front door of the residence, not only for the residents, but the dog, the kids, etc. So, and this is really tells a story of what we think this product should look like and live like and feel like. 2-story, these are duplexes actually, they share a common wall. If you were to cut this in half from front to back, and from side to side, cut it in half, you've got a front door that's on the opposite side of this photo, and one common wall that stairs abut that. And we've got some sound attenuation so that you don't hear your neighbor, and so it really lives like a home. It looks like a 2,000 square foot 2-story, but it lives like a home. So that's kind of the pretty pictures of what we see this product being and how we have thought about what we want to do versus the competition. This is a floor plan of how we connect the units. We have 5 different unit plans. There's a variety of single car garage, double car garage, some without a garage, master bedroom down, master bedroom up. We've got a lot of different options and range of square footages, and everyone gets a yard. The yard is about the same size. It is slightly larger in some unit plans, and others will have extra large yards depending on where they fall on the site. But we wanted to take some time and really program that and give people the ability to call it their own. This is a green belt unit that faces one of those mini green belts that we've designed. And everybody has a yard, which you can see that's off to the side of the unit. This started the vision. I came across this and I said, wow, this is really amazing. How do we bring something like this that's up in the Northeast, and how do we bring this to Texas and into the markets that we serve? So this has always been my ultimate vision of how could I incorporate that neighborhood feel and that sense of place. Patio inspiration photos for us. We wanted to make sure that we had effective placemaking for people just attached to their homes. A mix of grass and concrete and walls, and you could put lighting and furniture, and so they can take the creative aspect here. Now all the maintenance is all taken care of by Embrey. The resident is not required to do any maintenance. Grass and painting and exteriors and concrete and sidewalks, all of that is taken care of by us. We want to achieve the highest rents, so we're going to take very good care of the product. So the resident can live there, really pay rent and peace of mind. Don't sue me. I love the neighborhood. I've driven the neighborhood a few dozen times. I'm not a stalker, and I was just out admiring the architecture, and it's a beautiful neighborhood. And so we drew some inspiration for that. How could we take some of these wonderfully designed homes and bring it into our project and be like the little sister or at least relate to the Tucker Hill subdivision. So the craftsman detailing, love that. There's about 7 or 8 different architectural styles in the neighborhood, and they all are done very well. So it's hard to choose one, but we envision picking a style that's going to really work and fit the scale of our 1- and 2-story rentals, and then detail it appropriately. So love the front porches. Talked about that before. The elevated front porches are really nice. I'm pushing hard to get elevated front porches. I don't know if we're going to be able to make that happen, but I love the fact that raised porches just make all the difference in the world, in my opinion, from a streetscape point of view. So again, some additional photos of some of the homes in the neighborhood. This is one idea of a modern farmhouse inspiration that we could go with: a mixture of vertical and horizontal siding, metal roof accents, black and white exteriors. There's some, it's very popular. And so that is one way that we could go, that we feel like that scale of architecture really works for that modern farmhouse feel. But some more design inspiration of just a clean palette, crisp wood exteriors, livable front porches. Those things just drove our design and drove our architecture throughout. And then the townhome product is going to be a blend of 2- and 3-story garage, 2-car garages, very livable, very walkable, and is in high demand for the marketplace today. The interior of these units are very nice. They're Class A luxury units. These are not the apartments of old. This is an amenity arms race, if you will, of who can do it better. And so that's why we've taken our time. We are not a risky company. We're risk averse, and so we took over a year to study this and come up with how do we do this really, really well. And so high-end finishes and appliance packages and technology packages that that are in the marketplace today, we would be putting in here as well. So I don't need to bore you with really any of our other products. Hopefully you've had a chance to look us up and look at a few of our past projects. This was a fun one. This building on the right that you see is a historic building that we were able to renovate and turn into our clubhouse. Neat deal. That was a lot of fun to work with the city of Fort Worth on that project. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I want to save some room for questions. And with that, I guess I'll continue to share my screen, but if anybody would like to ask a question, they can unmute themselves, or you can send me a text. There's a way to do that.
I just unmuted myself. I hope that's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
You have a very nice product, very, very nice product. I mean, everything you're doing is headed in the direction I know the trends are. Tucker Hill, because all of this has just kind of happened very suddenly, the residents have not had the opportunity to really find out from the city and the Planning and Zoning Commission, the planning department of the city. We've just started using our contacts, city council, etc., to see exactly what are the options we have concerning that tract of land. I do know that the city council is not wanting to add a lot of rental property like this. McKinney is in a different stage than Frisco is, and I know you have a property in Frisco. We do not have a high percentage of commercial, and that's something they've been working on for the last 10 years or so. And recently, we're seeing a lot more commercial being developed in our area, not just along 121, but also along 380 on the west side of 380 over there where, on Hardin, where Costco is, that area, which is good. The problem is that until there's enough, we can continue to grow our commercial. We're already looking at this would increase our property taxes, to be quite honest with you. The property taxes are going to have to be shouldered by the neighborhoods, for lack of better words, because so that's why they're really not wanting to grow rental. I'm glad to see that you are low density and not high density, because I know there are high density areas that are trying to come in, and council's just not wanting to see that happen. And I think most of the people in McKinney are not ready for it either, because of the mix. Frisco has a large commercial base, which has been good for them. So they have a lot of high density, and your property, I assume, is low density over there also. Am I correct?
We have a product, if you're talking about the gate at the Domain in Frisco.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. That is a different product type, and that is a higher density use. It is it has a structured, it has a parking garage, and it has units wrapped around it where you can't see the parking garage. And it's 4 and 5 story product, and it's called a wrap style.
So it's more high density. They have a lot of high density there. Plano does also. Those are the two high density areas we have here in the county. And until we know more about how the track is zoned, and if that zoning can be changed, if it's not changeable, whatever, I think that a lot of the residents really want to be able to check into what it is that are options there.
Yeah.
Before we make a final decision.
Yeah, I think that that's part of the reason why I wanted to make the introduction and reach out and be proactive in the discussion, knowing that Tucker Hill is an influential neighborhood and a beautiful neighborhood, and this is our vision, and of course would be beside y'all. You're right in that there's denser multifamily and there's denser products, commercial type of uses as well. It would generate trips and be more town center type use. And so you speak to the zoning today. There's 2 tracks, and I'll go back to a site plan and maybe be able to explain this. So the left green box that's closest to Grassmere, that's on the hard corner, is today is zoned with a PD overlay for that specific 12 units an acre single family detached use that I spoke of previously. and that was done back in 2016.
Right.
And so that use, was looked upon as favorable previously, understood as a few years ago. And the box on the right is currently zoned as a town center use for commercial and mixed use. So a very dense type of
Right.
product that would go there, say 40 to 50 units an acre type of use, versus ours is 12 units an acre and spread out across the entire site. So somebody could go take, say, 5 acres of this and put 400 units on it, 350 units on it, and just on a 5 acre tract, plus all the commercial, plus the town center use, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the zoning today. And really, to start this whole process off, just to gauge the sentiment really, and know if where we stood, and understanding that rentals can be difficult, but in the right locations, I think they're very appropriate. And this is one of those times. So I reached out to Councilman Franklin and to the mayor, and met with the landowners, and
The mayor and you may have talked to Rick Franklin. I know the mayor has told one of our people who have said that he hasn't seen anything from you guys or heard anything.
Yes, ma'am. So we met at a very high level, and I took the photo of the image of the 2-story homes that I had on the screen. And I said, Mayor, this is what we would like to do here. This is what was previously approved, and this is just kind of big picture of the vision of what we see here: low density, similar use, and same use, and they in no way guaranteed anything, or really said, they honestly said, who you need to talk to? They said, you need to talk to Tucker Hill. And I would start there.
Okay, let me say something to you about that. There's an issue, because when one of our residents talked to the mayor about this, he said he had no idea of what she was talking about, and that he had never had conversations with Embrey, and that he didn't see anything or know anything about this project. Several of the council people didn't know anything about the project. So right there's a discrepancy, and it doesn't really matter for me one way or the other. Okay. I think you have a nice product. We just have to do our due diligence to see what can be done with that land. Can it be rezoned for residential? Is it not able to be rezoned for residential? I definitely, and I think most of the other people definitely prefer, if we have to go density, low density versus high density. But we just need to know more about what's going on with that land and what can be done with that land.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very happy to see what you've done, and to come up with your renderings and your plans and all that. We just have to do our part first. And I think there was another company, as you referred to a while back, it just kind of fell apart on its own. So no one even knew much or anything about it. We've also been very involved with the structuring of 380, which I'm sure you are aware of, the conversations that's been going on with TxDOT for the last 2 or 3 years now. And so because of that, and it hasn't finally been decided, we've got a very active group within our community wanting to know what's going on around us.
Mm-hmm.
And people have
Mm-hmm.
contacts. We've made contacts and gotten very involved. So when we say, yes, this looks good to us, we really have done our homework and our research on it. And we just haven't had the opportunity to do that, to put a stamp of approval on any project.
I absolutely understood. This is the first of conversation, right?
Yes,
and so that's
absolutely.
Thank you for your comments, Kathy.
Hey, Jeremy, I have a quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
Can you confirm there will be no Section 8 housing opportunities with with between the housing vouchers or any special programs?
Yes, sir. I can confirm that. We will not pursue any Section 8 or low-income housing for this project.
Thank you.
Hi, Jeremy, this is Amy. I just had a question about the zoning that maybe you can help with. So the project that was previously done was approved, but then in 2018, there was a kind of loophole that was closed that previously had allowed for multifamily in these commercial overlay districts. And my understanding was that was voted on at that time to close that use. And so even though it was approved for this prior to that time, it's my understanding that that commercial district overlay is what it is, and that you would have to seek approval to get that changed to allow for that multifamily use. That's my understanding of it.
Hi, Amy. Yes, you're correct. And so if we wanted to go in and build that site plan, we could go build that exact site plan today. But I don't think that we want that product there. That's not our product style. It's not the vision that we wanted. And so when we changed the site plan, yes, we would go in and we would request, most likely this would be a specific use permit or a PD specific to the site plan and specific to this use. We would not want to go in, and I don't think Tucker Hill would want us to go in and just rezone this to allow for multifamily on the tract. I would suggest that the zoning would remain in place today with an allowance for this specific use. And it would be more or less tied to the site plan that we would submit to P&Z and City Council, so that everyone would know what we were building, and it wasn't carte blanche for us if we were to drop the site or something occur, and that anybody could come in and just go build multifamily units on the track. So we would want to control that and be specific to our use.
Mm-hmm.
But we would be rezoning. We would be going through the P&Z and rezoning process. Okay. Residential is allowed in the town center use. There's some uses, residential uses that are allowed there, and so. But again, we would be specific to what we want to put on the track, not a open-ended multifamily rezone.
Right, and then speaking with Mayor Fuller, and one of the comments that he made is that he wasn't looking at this type of product being desirable. He said if it were more like a live, work, play, something that added to the community also, that would be something that would be more considerable than just this type of multifamily where it had sort of that, or again, something that's in it for the entire community. Is that something that you're open to providing some sort? I mean, we think about like what we have at Harvard Park next door, where it is kind of creating that, something that's a benefit to, we see the benefit to you for from us, but what do you see the benefit you would bring to us? Given in the context of what he would say is whenever he thinks about multifamily or even remotely thinking about it, that was his feedback.
Well, I'm thinking through my conversation with the mayor and trying to remember. I would say that we haven't considered live work as something that would be suitable for this product type. I'm not saying we're closed to the idea, but today we haven't considered it for this use. Mm-hmm. How could we benefit? the community? That's a good question. And how do we really become part of the community, or do we want to be separate to the community? But you bring up a good point, and I think we're open for further dialogue.
Mm-hmm. No, I appreciate it. And I don't know if Grassmere was discussed. I came on a little bit later. Just
Not yet. You want to open that box?
Sure, I'd love to. I mean, I would just say that that's the genuine concern, is that, you know, any eastbound traffic has to come through our neighborhood. If, you know, so if they're going to hit 380 and go east, and so 400 and plus cars is a lot of cars. And I think part of that goes back to, you know, our development is stopped right now for that very reason, that you know, they want another entrance. They want Stonebridge built before they, you know, before we can even continue to expand. So to think that 400 plus cars is okay, but building out our next phase until Stonebridge is built, that was kind of our stipulation that was put on our developer. I'm trying to see how this is even possible if we're at a standstill to allow that amount of traffic through our neighborhood.
You raise a good point, and I don't know what the city is going to say about that. We haven't, you know, gone through the city initial plan review process, which they have, and traffic and transportation is one of those people that weighs in on the site plan, and so I'm certain that it will come up and be a discussion point. And you voiced the opinion of quite a few others in the neighborhood, and it's one that I've thought a lot about in the last, really, since we looked at the site. It's a strange thing on 380, just the way in which TxDOT has aligned these ins and outs and hooded lefts and no U-turns, and you know, it's interesting. And so we definitely don't want to add to what's an already a difficult situation. And so today, I don't know what the answer is, but I'm telling you that we're here to talk with you and work with Tucker Hill and with Southern Land to try to unify and be a unified voice in saying this is what we'd like to see, and maybe that could help apply some pressure in the right ways to get some movement, so that there was relief for your neighborhood and opportunity for ours.
Yeah. Hey, Jeremy, this is John Grant. If I can follow on to Amy's question or make a comment, and then maybe one other area to bring up. So, I mean, I'm happy to see on your map that you have listed as the primary entrance being the one that's further to the east. Couple things that you consider then in your site plan would be, one, if that's going to be your primary entry, that you section off a part that you have a right turn lane to make it easier for cars that are westbound to, you know, to get off 380 and make, you know, into that primary entry. And then
the deceleration lane, John.
Yep. Yes,
Yeah.
that's the correct term. Yeah, I guess. And then secondly, to Amy's point about, you know, again, that Grassmere traffic, would it be in your site plan, or potentially put this in your proposal, that you have a left turn lane on 380 for that eastbound traffic to be able to enter in directly that primary entry? That would be, you know, something that we might like to see. With again,
John, you're referencing maybe a median break there at the primary entry where
Exactly.
where that's located.
Exactly.
To allow people to go east coming out of the main entrance. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, that would be ideal for us.
So that may be one. And then the other, and please, you can any feedback on that. But the other concern I think my wife and I have talked about is, so I love you guys have a pool. It looks like, it sounds like it's going to be a really nice residence center, like 4,000 square feet. What I don't see on here is any place for a dog park or a playground. And I bring that up I don't want to sound snobby, but I think that is a concern of our neighborhood. Like we pay our HOA dues, and part of that, supports things that are for our residents. We have a
Yes.
couple playgrounds. We have a dog park. It is intended for Tucker Hill residents. There, I guess, concern would be that other folks that are not paying those HOA dues starts using those amenities that are for residents.
Yeah.
They start kind of coming over into the area, right? Because there's an entry right into Grassmere. So, any thoughts there, or have you guys considered that?
Yeah, how do we control the migration of any residents over to the neighborhood, right? Is the question. And so there's a few things that we can do, but to answer the question of the amenities, we will have a dedicated dog park. We will have multiple areas that allow people directly outside of their door, plus their yards, but outside of their door, proximate to their front door. It would give them dog waste stations and the ability to walk the dogs in those areas as well, without having to go to the dog park wherever it's located. But we would have a dog park. We will have a fitness center. We will have a resort style pool that's knocked out. But what we would do to control that narrative is with our residents, in the fact that we property manage our own properties. We can work together with Tucker Hill to come up with policies to make sure that we're going to tell them, don't go over there, don't use that, etc. If someone did, if you notice that, hey, they don't live here, who is that? And they happen to live in our community, that's a quick phone call to Jeremy or to our property manager or our regional property manager to say, hey, this occurred. Once is too many. Let's fix that, right? And then we crack down on that internally. But the idea is that we're gated. We provide our own luxury amenities to our residents, and that's where they want to go and play. As far as children go, we don't see a lot of children in our communities, just with the price point being what it is. That kind of price point, people tend to purchase homes with children, raise a family. But these are renters by choice, and just by the nature of it, we see anywhere from 5 to maybe 10%. I think that's the highest figure that I've seen have children. So not that there won't be any children, but there's not a lot compared to a typical single family neighborhood.
Thank you. That's helpful. Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Lee Taylor. Nice to chat.
Hi,
I hear
Lee.
your answer regarding the parks and our amenities. I think we spend around $1,500 a year for these amenities. I think my biggest concern is that I just really don't desire, as a mother of 3 small children, to police my amenities, especially at the price that I'm paying for them. It sounds like your amenities will be quite nice, but I can't see. I hope that your solution cannot be that we work with you to help police this, especially being a female, having 3 female daughters. And if this is a place that isn't like a family rental situation, you have to know that as a woman, we consider sexual predators and things like that in kind of these positions. And so the idea of me helping to police that with you doesn't make me feel very comfortable. I mean, I hate to like throw out the extremes, but the extremes exist. And so so I think that as you move forward, you consider that most of the people using the parks and stuff are females taking care of their families. I mean, yes, my husband goes out to the park, but it tends to be something like that. And I just truly don't desire to police renters. So
Certainly.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
And yes, ma'am, and that's not the expectation, is that the burden falls on y'all. But obviously, if you're there and you see somebody you don't recognize, that a phone call can be made. However, we do background checks. And so, we're required, we want to make sure that people that live there meet certain criteria and standards. People that purchase homes, there's no background checks for people that purchase homes. So to some degree, there's a higher level of scrutiny that we do for our renters to make sure that they're going to, one, take care of our property, take care of the unit, they can pay rent. And these renters that we're seeing that rent these homes, these single family type of detached and duplex style rentals, they stay on average. The typical apartment renter is anywhere from 9 to 12 months. And they hop from apartment to apartment, et cetera. These renters are staying from 2 to 4 years. And so this style really came out about 4 years ago, and some have never moved out of their community. We've toured these communities and we've talked to the managers, and they said they love it. They stay here. And they're paying top rents in every single market that we've toured, and they don't leave. So, you know, I can't assure you, but I can say that we would do our absolute best to make sure that there wasn't crossover between our community and yours.
So I'm sorry, I joined kind of late. Are you saying that there will be a gate all the way around the property, including like on the side of Grassmere, or is it?
There would be yes, let me clarify that. There's a perimeter fence. It would run, if you're looking at if you can see the image on my screen, it would run around the perimeter of the site and fully enclose the site. And there would be gates at the entry drives to gate residents, and visitors could come in with codes and access points. But we would envision that the entire perimeter is going to be fenced.
Okay, thank you very much. And I know somebody else mentioned traffic as well. I do think that is a very important thing to drive home, though. There really is no safe way out onto 380 aside, like if you're headed westbound on it, aside from heading to Tremont and turning at the light there. And as far as getting into the property, to turn left off of 380 is incredibly dangerous. We see accidents all the time. So anyway, I just wanted to, sorry about the echo, send that back to you as well.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Where are you guys in the buying process with the land?
We have the land under contract to purchase, and we're going through the rezoning process and this process and meeting with TxDOT and the city, and you know, it's a lengthy process. So we envision that as we move through this, that we would start construction towards the end of this year would be, I guess, the best that I could tell you today.
Okay, so it's not a done deal, but you're starting the process.
And we have not purchased the land. And so Embrey, there's some developers that go out and they buy the land and they just, it's called land banking, and they purchase it and then they figure out what they want to do with it. And we are of the mindset of we want to go do something that's going to be successful. And that's a pretty risky way to operate. And we have 400 employees that we are responsible for. And so we want to do things very ethically and very systematically so that we're successful. And so we don't go out and buy land. We go and we do the sweat equity and we get it rezoned, and then we go get it permitted at the city, and then we close a construction loan, and then we start moving dirt. And that process takes about a year. And so we started this a few months back with the landowners, and we expect to have this wrapped up by the end of the year.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Jeremy. Hi, it's Ellen Landau. How many feet are there between the curb of 380 and your residences there? It looks like you're very, very close to the curb. I would estimate maybe 30 or 40 feet.
It's further than that, but honestly, I don't have a dimension for you. Are you referencing the right-of-way, potential right-of-way expansion, or
well, no. I mean, that certainly would take out your whole front line there. It would take out everything up to Pedestrian Street if they do widen. But the houses seem to be very close to 380. And I don't know if you've stood on 380 that close, say at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The traffic noise, the amount of commotion of traffic up there at those times. It'd be interesting to see how your renters would take to that.
That's good feedback. I haven't actually stood out there during peak speed times.
You definitely should do that.
I've driven the site numerous times, and I know
there are many accidents along that and that stretch as well. So that's something to consider.
I've heard that from a few people. Thank you for that comment.
Surely. And what would you do if 380 is decided to go on the current path that it is?
If you mean the bypass would go to Prosper, I would be very happy.
No, I'm not saying the bypass at all. I'm saying one of the proposals, of course, is that 380 go in front of Tucker Hill and therefore in front of your development. And swing back up into a bypass east of us still.
Ellen, that's great. I've looked at that, and that's something that we have to determine what's our exit strategy and condemnation type of entitlements. And we've spoken to a few condemnation attorneys and what happens to the site and how does it stay viable and what the plan needs to look like if that were to occur. But Ellen, right now the bypass is actually scheduled. If it does come through east of the neighborhood here, it's coming through the center of this right-hand the right-hand parcel here, kind of right where the blue detention box is, and taking out the clubhouse and swooping down to the left and connecting to University Drive. So that's definitely something that we are having conversations about. I don't have an answer for you today to know what would occur, but
yikes.
they're in the middle. My understanding, and y'all may know much better than I do, but they're in the middle of their environmental studies. They have 3 or 4 options that they're considering, and they're doing their due diligence now, doing the environmental studies, and then they would begin to purchase land for the right-of-way take. And the more expensive the land is and the development is that's in place, the more maybe I've heard that weighs into the factor of kind of how they decide where they want to go. But it's a complicated situation.
It is, and it is a big risk on your part. But yes, definitely, I would stand out there. You can go over to Harvard Park and stand up, on their grassway there, and we'll wave to you. It's pretty crazy traffic at certain times of the day. Good luck to you, though. It looks like a good concept. Do you have a name for this development?
We don't, but I'm happy to reference you if you come up with a name that works. We've probably thrown out 50 different names for this concept, and we're still in the hunt. So,
okay, it's nice that you would involve Tucker Hill. We like that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is Ted. Are there any other questions? I don't see any other hands going up. If that's the end, I don't know if you had some final comments, Jeremy, or we'll just tell everybody thanks and have a good evening.
I'll say a quick thank y'all very much. I know this was probably a surprise, and I apologize for that. But Ted, you've been very helpful in organizing this. I couldn't have done it without you, and I look forward to further conversations. I would say give us a week or two, and I'll re-engage and kind of reach out. I don't want to keep y'all in the dark of what's going on. I want to respond to a lot of these concerns and really truly work with you guys to come up with an answer that works, and maybe we can help solve this traffic problem together, and come up with a creative solution that benefits everyone. With that, I'll say I'll be in touch soon, and thanks again, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, Jeremy, and thanks everybody for joining us tonight.
Jeremy,
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
we have one question.
Well, I don't really have a question. This is Bill Sano, and I just appreciate you enlightening us with some of the facts about the project. Just appreciate your help. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. And
Bye.
thank you.